Hollywood Reporter is the latest publication to print a story about how newcomer, unknown Scott Rose-Marsh is in consideration for the role of James Bond in the new Amazon version of the franchise. This story has been going around a lot of different websites, but people give it a little more credibility coming from the Hollywood Reporter, since Hollywood is their business. I'm going to try and pour a little cold water on this and talk a little bit about how casting rumors seem to work. In this case, Scott Rose-Marsh is not an actor that has done anything that would merit his consideration for the role of James Bond. And that's a harsh thing to say, I think, because, you know, this is his big blow-up moment, and kudos to whoever it was who orchestrated this. He's not going to be James Bond. He's probably not even being considered by Villeneuve or Amazon. The reality is this story started in a Somerset Live story. That's the website for Somerset, the region where Rose-Marsh lives, claiming that the bookie odds for Rose-Marsh had propelled him into just behind the sort of more famous contenders for the role of Bond. That story was published early in July. A few days before that, in July, someone placed some bets on Rose-Marsh, thus justifying the existence of this story, all of which seems a little contrived, a little set up, but also is what would happen if someone really was leaking information that this unknown actor was going to be the new Bond, or was at least in serious contention. But it must be said the Somerset Live article was a little on the fluffy side, basically attributing to fans phrases like the ginger badass Bond to describe Rose-Marsh, and saying that he has undergone a physical transformation, becoming leaner and more angular, changes that fans say may align him with the modern interpretation of Bond. Like, that's very generously fluffy, because this is not an actor who has been in a lot of things. When people report on this story, they say Rose-Marsh, open brackets, Wolves of War, Code of Silence. Those are titles of movies that you think, oh, have I heard of that? That sounds familiar. Yeah, maybe. Have I seen Wolves of War? Have I seen Code of Silence? The answer is no, you've not seen these films. These are low budget movies. One is a movie about the Cray twins, the real life London gangsters. There have been a few movies about that. Tom Hardy was in the most recent famous one. This one stars Stephen Moyer from True Blood as the detective investigating the Crays, and Scott Rose-Marsh plays a man who is shot in the head in a pub. And that is, he has no lines. The scene is seconds long, and that's it. The other movie, made, I think, by the same writer, maybe the same crew, is Wolves of War, which stars Matt Willis of the UK boy band Busted, also the co-host of Love is Blind UK. It's a movie about World War II soldiers, and Rose-Marsh plays one of the baddie soldiers, fashy baddies. He, again, does not have any dialogue, and I think is blown up rather than shot, but is not in the movie very long. He's not a featured performer in either of these movies, and neither of these movies are big movies. I don't say any of this to be cruel. Like, I've known actors on the come up. I know how hard that industry is, and I sympathize. And again, I applaud Rose-Marsh for getting his name out there like this. You know, it works out for him. But the idea that he is in contention for the role of James Bond, one of the biggest, most sought-after roles in the industry, no. You don't give that kind of role to an unknown. And I know people say that Daniel Craig wasn't known when he took the role, but he had been the lead in several big TV shows, in some big movies. Daniel Craig was not unknown. He just wasn't people's first choice. Some of the earliest Bonds, Connery and Lazenby, they had very little acting experience before they got the role, but that's not how Hollywood works now. If you think of the most famous plucked from nowhere star of the last 15 years, it's Tom Holland. He had been one of the top billed actors in 2 major releases prior to being cast as Spider-Man. You just didn't know who he was because he was a child actor. So a studio is not going to take a huge chance on an actor that they don't know that they have the mental and physical fortitude to carry a movie and to carry a press tour and to do all of that work. It's not just about, can this person act or can this person take a punch? It's about, can this person carry a billion-dollar franchise? In point of fact, there was another actor in Wolves of War, Sam Gittins, who, early 30s, very handsome, very charming, very athletic, and he's actually a boxer. So Yeah, I've added him to my list of people who could be Bond. Worth noting also that Rose-Marsh appeared in the local press a few years earlier in a story talking about how he had abandoned his job at a call center to become an actor. So he must have some friends in the local press that are looking out for him. All of which is to say, be careful what you believe when you hear casting rumors. Bear in mind, the last person who everyone was like guaranteeing, oh yeah, this person has landed the role was Aaron Taylor Johnson. Like there were some very confident posts saying we believe that the announcement is due to come any day now. It wasn't true. It wasn't true in part because that was under the Broccoli's, the old owners of the franchise before they sold to Amazon. So if that had been a deal, it's possible that was a deal and then it got nixed when they sold the whole package. But it's equally likely that it just never was a deal because people get announced as heavily rumored to be James Bond all the time. And the papers will always run that story. There's a suggestion that the Hollywood Reporter would not report a rumor, but this story about Scott Rose-Marsh appeared in their Rambling Reporter column, which is literally their gossip page. So how much verification and checking did they actually do? Probably not very much, because they love to run stories about who's going to be the next James Bond. It is a faucet of guaranteed clicks that they can open anytime. People will always click on that story. People always want to read the speculation about who will be the next Bond. We did a video about it here at Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and it's our most popular video. So I guess we'll do more, because that's how the whole audience engagement thing works. We all want eyeballs, and saying this person might be James Bond always gets eyeballs until someone gets cast as James Bond, and then the faucet dries up for the next 5, 7, 10 years. So, they're going to milk that thing. And not to mix my metaphors, unless you have a milk faucet. You'll also always see in the trade press, like Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, Variety, you'll get stories, and also like on the entertainment circuit press, stories of people saying, oh, I would love to reprise my role as X from this franchise. I would love to take the role of Y that the fans have said I would be great at. And it'll be run as a story as, this actor interested in this role. And it's like, actors like to work. They're going to say, yes, I would like to work. Those stories are just, actor indicates that they would like to continue working. It's not a real story. It's just a thing that gets clicks. Sorry. The reality is Denis Villeneuve is still shooting Dune 3. Stephen Knight, the writer who is doing this next Bond movie, probably isn't very far into the process. He only just started. They've said they're not going to look at casting until they know what the story is, which makes a lot of sense. So I don't think they are testing anyone. So I wouldn't read much into any rumors for the next few months, honestly. Probably there won't be an announcement till next year, but I could be wrong. I'm prepared to be wrong, happy to be wrong, honestly, because I would love to know who the next James Bond is going to be. It won't be a Tom Holland, a Timothy Chalamet. It won't be someone of that star wattage, I don't think, because you don't need that. You need someone who will sign on to the franchise and be available to do it for the next 10 years of their life. And you trust that the name James Bond is going to be the thing that sells the movie more than the name of the star. That doesn't mean that it's going to be someone who has literally never carried a lead role in a movie or TV show before. Honestly, if Scott Rose-Marsh is the guy that you think looks good for the part, I would say there's another actor who looks very similar, has a hyphenated surname, who is more credible because he's worked with writer Stephen Knight on the TV show 1,000 Blows, and he has racked up a few credits to his name and is being buzzed about. That's James Nelson Joyce. So if that's the type of Bond they want to go for, James Nelson Joyce, I think, is more credible than Scott Rose-Marsh. Sorry to this man. But the big takeaway here is this is a circus. Scott Rose-Marsh, full credit to the guy for getting these stories out there into the world, because it's a really impressive how much take-up this has had. And I hope it will have an impact on his career. I watched both those movies and they don't tell you anything about him as an actor. He's not in them enough to tell you anything. But respect the hustle. Good for you, Scott Rose-Marsh, for getting a name out there, for making people pay attention to you in this way. That's the sort of thing that can pay off in Hollywood. For the rest of you, treat casting rumors like the nonsense they often are. Don't believe anything you read, ever, or see. Don't believe anything. Everything's a lie. We're all in a simulation. And if we're in Scott Rose-Marsh's simulation, then he is going to be the new James Bond, and I'm wrong about everything. That's okay. Honestly, if reality unraveled. Sorry. So anyway, we don't know who's going to be the next James Bond. We can be pretty confident that it's not an actor who has never been in anything. Check out our tier list ranking of the contenders to see who we fancy, both from an odds-making perspective and from the other version of fancy. If it's going to be a ginger in his 30s, Will Poulter is right there. Will Poulter, I love you and I would like you to be James Bond, but not more than I would like Jonathan Bailey to be James Bond. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, all the little things that help this channel grow. I'm new here. Thanks so much, and until next time, kiss, kiss, bang, bang.
If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe to this channel. You can follow Kiss Kiss Bang Bang on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd at KKBBpod, or email us at kisskissbangbangpod@gmail.com.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is recorded in Toronto on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples.